I see a whole new generation of kids just hating Indians.
I gained 1 million subscribers in 11 months, and it was only because of hatred towards South Asians.
On a dating app, I will have South Asian in my bio. It wards people away like the plague.
If I look at my content at this point, it's just a response to racism.
What's your take when you see that?
Can we swear? I remember I got a DM a few months ago from I was so close to making a video being like, you guys need to literally fuck yourselves.
How is your mental health these days?
The Gents are back. Hamza, Pushpek, and Taha talk growing up South Asian, the racism and hate they see online, and how that's affecting the next generation of young men.
I have a 10-year-old. When he was younger, he was so proud to be South Asian, but he's been getting bullied a lot. Told him to go tell the teacher.
Teachers will always say it'll just go away. It doesn't. I believe in fighting back. It's really, really important for kids to not grow up thinking their own culture is shit.
I thought that because in my head, my culture hated me because I was gay, I had to hate my culture back.
We have such a weird cycle of masculine trauma. We live in a different time. We can do so much better, but you're still seeking some kind of validation for your parents.
Do you feel like you're responsible for your parents' hopes and dreams?
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
How much does that weigh on you? We find it very interesting that the majority of you who watch and listen to this show aren't yet subscribed to our channels across Spotify, Apple, YouTube. It would mean the world to us if you can do us that small kindness. It allows us to continue to bring on amazing guests week after week and continue to provide you with amazing value and content. It's the only thing we'll ever ask of you. If you can hit that follow or subscribe button, it would mean the world to us. Thank you so much and enjoy the episode. Gents, welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is an exciting roundtable of conversation, particularly focused on being from the South Asian community, because we touched on that with every single one of you individually. Mm-hmm. And what I was hoping to do here was sort of talk about the shared experience to see if you guys feel the same thing as the other person. Like, how shared is that experience, but also maybe whether you're seeing improvements, because you know, we live in a city like Toronto and a country like Canada where there's also a growing anger, it seems, at least online. And I'm always mindful that what you see online is never really a true reflection of reality. But we're seeing a lot of negativity towards the South Asian community. And I think I want to start there, sort of being from that community. Like, what's your take when you see that? Because I remember, for example, being from the Middle Eastern community, I'm almost used to all of that negativity where I see it online. It's just a known fact. I'm going to see something at least once a day that criticizes Arabs, criticizes the Middle East, makes us out to be these like demonized terrorists and all these things. Mm-hmm. And I've had to grow up with that. Now we're seeing it with the South Asian community more and more. And so I wanted to get your takes on that.
Can we swear?
Absolutely.
Just for my own
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you see it all the time online, right? Like, especially on like things like Six Buzz, for example, where it'll be like a video of South Asian people, Punjabi people usually dancing and being like, how do you feel about this? And it's like little things like that. Like, people will bait people online now because they know it's so easy to bait people into saying awful things about like South Asian people. And the funny like flip side of that is like, I remember I got a DM a few months ago from Six Buzz being like, we have some creators conference, and like I was so close to making a video being like, you guys need to literally fuck yourselves. Literally never reach out to me, like, you're disgusting. But I was like, I'm just gonna calm down. I'm just gonna move past it. But yeah, there's like so much shit. Like, I remember I was so excited the other day because I was in an Uber with a white driver and the car smelled really bad. And I was like, yes, that like kind of fights the stereotype of us smelling bad. So I remember I was so excited that this European man smelled really disgusting because I was like, oh my God, this is actively fighting the propaganda. So, you know.
So it's good. You're okay.
I'm happy. I'm still kind of riding that high.
Yeah. What about you?
I mean, I grew up in Sweden. Like, I was the darkest kid in my entire class. And if I go to my own culture, like, I'm extremely light-skinned.
Yeah.
Right? But over there, I was called the N-word because for me, that was the darkest person they've ever seen. And I mean, Canada is starting to feel like it's going that way now.
It's becoming more racist.
Yeah, it's becoming way worse. I mean, like, just like those basic things like Six Buzz, like I blame these pages a lot for a lot of stuff going on. I mean, they have a huge right-wing following. I mean, I don't even know why Indians are even right-winged in the first place, because, I mean, you're just going against yourself. But regardless, like, these people bait a lot. That's how they get more brand deals. And, like, I get surprised when I see brands sponsoring Six Buzz, right? And it's like, I'm not going to name drop them right now, but it's big brands from the GTA that you expect to know better. And their audience, like their customers, are probably South Asian. And I mean, Six Buzz obviously putting more fire onto it. All these other pages are doing the same thing. It's frustrating to see because I see a whole new generation of kids just hating Indians, right? Like the other day, I was just going on a walk and some kids recognized me and asked if I want to play soccer with them. So I'm like, sure, why not? And I play some soccer with them. And then there's another kid who just running around and yelling at everyone, calling them Indians. Oh, you guys smell. Oh, you guys this. And this is like 10-year-old kids.
Jeez.
Right? And they're not afraid of anything because they know there's no consequences.
Yeah. Well, once you start to see that stuff online more and more, it becomes normalized. You just think that you're 10 years old. You don't know any better.
Exactly.
Right? Like you almost can't be mad at the 10-year-old for not knowing better.
Exactly.
What about you?
Yeah, exactly what Pushpek was saying. So I have a 10-year-old myself, and my son's Pakistani, Jamaican, and Irish. And
What a mix.
Yeah, he has a cool mix. But like when he was younger, he was so proud to be like being Pakistani, South Asian. But now when he goes to school, there's like kids always like making fun of Indians and stuff, and he doesn't even identify as Indian anymore because he's just so scared that people are gonna make fun of where he's from. And like I remember him telling me about 2 years ago when he was in school, he would bring Pakistani food to school. Like he loves biryani, and that's like his favorite thing about like our side of the culture, the food. And kids would just make fun of the way his food would smell, and it just like he just is super scared now because it's like the racism's to a max right now, and it's unfortunate.
How do you handle that as a father? Like how do you talk to a 10-year-old and tell him?
Yeah, for sure. So like when I was younger, I dealt with the same thing as well too. Like I would be so scared to bring, like, I don't know if you guys dealt with this growing up as well, but bring traditional food to school, and kids from other races would make fun of you. Oh, you smell like curry, or you smell like shit. And I told him I dealt with that too growing up, and the biggest thing I did was like I knew who I was, and if I really enjoyed it, I would just do it. But for him, it's like it's kind of hard because he comes from a Jamaican and a Irish and a Pakistani background, and he really, really loves the Pakistani food. So I just told him all he needs to do is like, if someone does bully him, and he's scared to go and tell the teacher, but he's been getting bullied a lot very often. So I told him to go tell the teacher like what's going on, and they'll take care of it because he's so scared to deal with it himself. But he just has to be confident and believe in who he is as a person and respect his culture, because I don't want him to be growing up hating that Pakistani side, and I want him to like be respectful towards as well too. So I think with due time and him understanding how other people are, he will have that confidence and continue to do what he enjoys doing.
Are you guys seeing, whether with yourselves or amongst your friends, not self-hate might be too strong, but sort of some self-censorship of your own culture because you don't want to be, targeted or put out or bullied or anything like that? Like, are you seeing other people sort of almost take more of a reserved approach to showing who they are?
I know on like a lot of gay dating apps, actually, there is a section where like you talk about like your background, for example. I've met and talked to, I remember so many South Asian guys that would write that they're mixed or like straight up lie about being like where they're from. Like I was talking to this really like lovely Pakistani guy who like wrote that he was Persian, and I was like, oh, like, why'd you write that you're Persian? It's so cool that you're Pakistani. Like I was so excited when we met up for our date, and I was like, hey, you have a Pakistani accent. Oh my God, I was so happy. And I was like, why'd you write that you're Persian or like from Iran? He's like, oh, just my like great grandparents were from there, so I just put it. And I'm like, okay, so like it's because people are not gonna like that you're South Asian,
so they're isolating him and basically just swiping over.
Yeah. And then like for myself, I like to be very loud about being half Indian, half Pakistani, because I'm like, that is a response to the shittiness, it's not like a natural baseline. And like another kind of element that kind of muddles it a bit is that like growing up, I was very like, in my brain, I thought that because my culture in my head hated me because I was gay, I had to hate my culture back. And I was super detached from being Indian and Pakistani, even though I grew up with it, even though I speak language fluently, even though I love Bollywood movies, even though I could like yeah, anyways, and like I had a couple of years in my early 20s where I had to like rebuild that foundational culture or relationship with my culture, right? Because of that extra added layer of nuance where you kind of associate your own culture with hatred. But then now that I'm like in my 30s and realizing, not even realizing, but like now fully like in love with it again, understanding the importance and beauty of it, now I'm like, oh my God, I don't want kids like Hamza's kid or my nephews or nieces or this next generation of kids to be ashamed of it. But it's happening, right? Like even my nephews were like, so my brother is Pakistani and Indian like me, obviously, and his wife is Pakistani. His kids, who I love them so much, they were like making this like funny Indian accent. And so were my other nephews from my sister's side. And I was like, you guys, like, first of all, you're a quarter Indian, but also even if you weren't, I'm like, they don't see a difference between you and Indians, right? So like you need to remember that you're all in this together. There's an absurdity to seeing like your own Pakistani like kids or nephews of the other generation kind of forget that they're going to be treated the same way, even though they're not technically Indian.
You know what's coming for them.
Yeah.
What about you? Your family is quite active on social media.
Yeah.
And being, on social media comes with negativity in general. Like, are you seeing an increase in the number of derogatory type comments?
Oh, 100%. I mean, like I said, like growing up in Sweden, like being the only Indian kid in school, like the self-hate was there. It definitely was there. And then when I finally came to Brampton, I started loving my own culture, started loving my own people, because I got exposure to it for the first time, right? And now it's at this point where, like, honestly, if I look at my content, I feel like it's just a response to racism at this point. I mean, I'm very proud about who I am. I'm very loud about who I am. And I want kids to have a role model that they see that stands up for who we are, right? I mean, I might go too far sometimes, but honestly, at this point, I don't care, right? Because I feel like it's really, really important for kids to not grow up thinking their own culture is shit.
Yeah.
Right? We have an amazing culture. We have amazing people. We have so much good stuff. But people are always going to point out the negative stuff. And I mean, yes, I see more comments online, but after a while, you get thicker skin. I mean, the stuff I dealt with in Sweden as a kid was so much worse than any comment could ever be. So like I don't think it'll ever bother me, but I know I don't want kids to grow up seeing those comments, because it's very different. Like if you're born in India and you live in India and you see those comments, they might not bother you as much because you don't see it in real life.
Sure.
You only see it online.
Yeah.
But growing up in school in Canada, you will see it every day, right? And I mean, I know how Hamza said to his kid to like talk to the teacher. Hopefully teacher's brown too, right? Because growing up, I always went to the teacher, but you never got a response you wanted. They never helped. They were just like, oh, he's always going to complain. Who cares? Kind of thing. And it's just one of those things that sucks. But I mean, I feel like as long as we're loud, we're proud, we're going to have a whole new generation that is loud and proud too. And we'll fight back against it.
Yeah.
And
so how do you fight back against it though? How do you do it in a way where, because this argument, at least in Canada, there's a growing argument around too many immigrants from all over the world coming in, and that noise is just getting louder and louder, and now you're seeing it in the political sphere as well, which only amplifies people's voices because they feel braver saying these things and then they often forget that it was immigrants that basically helped build this country. So let's talk about that. But how do you fight back against that? How do you fight against the negativity? How do you do that? I mean, I imagine through the three of you, it's primarily through your content.
yeah, I mean, also encourage people to get educated. I mean, if you just look at history, like whenever there's like some kind of recession, whenever people are broke, can't afford stuff, they will always blame immigrants, right? Because they need something to project on. So they go after immigrants because that's always the easiest target. I mean, at the end of the day, they opened up the door for so many immigrants. Why? Because nobody wanted to work during COVID. They needed somebody to run stuff, right? And now they complain about it, but if you just went to work, you'd be fine, right? Like they always want to blame they're always going to blame immigrants no matter what it is. If you go back like 70 years, I'm sure they were talking shit about Italians, right?
Yeah.
And I've heard so much about as soon as 9/11 happened, the same racism that went towards Italians started going towards Arabs.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that was
I
a
know.
huge switch. And now after COVID, like during COVID, it was a bit more towards East Asians.
Yeah.
And then after COVID, it has been more towards Indians. But they're always going to go after somebody. Doesn't matter who. Like, they're always going to blame immigrants. But go to a bus at 6 a.m. Who's working the hardest? All you see is a bunch of kids who, like, are struggling, but they still go to work. Half of them have 2 jobs, right? Will I ever see you do the same thing? No. Then why are you complaining? Like, try harder yourself. Like, if you want to change, tell your government, protest, get on the streets. But most people just want to write stuff online.
It's easy.
Yeah.
You can hide behind your phone or your laptop. You don't have to worry, right? I could say whatever I want, and the worst thing that you can do is maybe call me out, but there's no real threat to my life or to my person because I'm behind a screen. Chances are you're never going to see me in person, and so I feel braver. And in most cases, a lot of these people, you look at the profiles of some of these people, it's just like a private profile with a photo of a cat in their thing.
Yeah.
And, you don't even know who this person really is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And like, they love skilled labor. I mean, look at who does all of these like Uber Eats deliveries and things like that, especially during COVID. Like Pushpek said, a lot of them are South Asian. People love skilled labor when it's benefiting them, but then they'll complain and be like, why does my Tim Hortons why does it have so many Indian people? It's like, well, I mean, they were hired because they're better at the job than anyone else in the community. You like skilled labor, so they're doing the skilled labor. Right. You only like it when it benefits you, but then why are you turning to racism when, like, the fact that people are really hardworking from our culture, for example, or our cultures, it's a part of like our ethic growing up. When it benefits you, you like it, but then when the flip side of it is that, like, yeah, I mean, they're great at their jobs, so they're getting hired at these places. Why are you switching to then suddenly being angry at immigrants, right? Like, it's...
And I think the big thing is that a lot of people don't understand what immigrants dealt with back home. That's why when they come to Canada, they work twice as hard. And if you look at like the highest gross income, that's typically Indians and Pakistanis are on top of the list, whether it's in the United States or Canada. And people don't understand what, like, a lot of the employees that I have are from India and what they dealt with back home. And they come here to work harder, not just to take care of themselves, but also to send money back home to take care of their families as well. So there's a lot that they're dealing with as well versus like the people that are from Canada that don't have those struggles. So definitely, like, even earlier, going back to when you were talking about when you were on a dating app, I had a friend, and he on the dating app, he put that he was from Pakistan, and no girl swiped right on him. Not a single girl swiped right on him. And as soon as he's changed it to Egyptian, a bunch of girls started swiping right on him.
Really?
Yeah. So it sucks because, like, that's just how people see. There's so much hatred towards South Asians right now that even as a man on dating apps, you're so scared to even talk about where you're from. And I don't know, it just sucks. Even for like me, when I started going on dating apps, girls would ask me where I'm from, and I'm like, yeah, like my great grandpa was from Iran, so I'm half Iranian and half Pakistani.
Yeah.
How much does that affect you, really and truly?
But like the fact that
you have to even change who you are just to even get a conversation going.
So fake. And I think as I started going on the dating apps and realizing, this is not going to work out. Like, because if I want something long term, I don't want anything short term with anyone. So what's the point of me lying to them? So as I would tell them that I'm Pakistani, I think because of social media and everything going on right now, we're also scared to talk about the fact who we are. But I don't think a lot of people actually care. Like, if you're going to be serious with someone, they're not going to really care about where you're from, right? They care about who you are as a person.
How does it affect you? I mean, I know you said that you're very loud and proud of who you are, where you're from.
Yeah.
So, like, but are you seeing a side effect to it?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, like, I know I've seen very few people on these apps who actually write South Asian in their bio or whatever, and I'm like very particular about having that. Or like, if I'm on a dating app, I will have South Asian in my bio, or like in my profile, and it wards people away like the plague. But that's good. If they're not going to want to get to know me because of that, then that's an automatic filter for me. That's great. Well, I don't think I would have wanted to get to know you either if my being Indian and Pakistani, which is so cool, by the way. We have such good food. We could have a really cool wedding where you wear like a sherwani, but they're just like, I don't want that, so I'm not going to talk to you. Great. Yeah. Easy. in that sense, but then also in the other sense, it's,
the other thing is that like I noticed a lot of South Asian men are like changing their names as well, like their first name.
Yeah.
Like my uncle, he's a real estate agent, and his name was, I don't want to say his name, but it was a brown name, and he changed it to a really white name.
Yeah.
And his sales went up too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was weird.
Interesting.
And he was okay with it, but I think a lot of, just because of the hatred going on right now, it's just.
Do you any of you have a good answer, or at least a strong opinion as to where or why there's such anger towards the South Asian community?
Have you been on X before?
That place is a circus.
I feel like the algorithm is purposely pushing hatred towards South Asians. I don't know what it is, but just on social media, I don't know if it's something going on. And I know your For You page or whatever is on certain things that you searched in the past, but I've never searched that stuff. And literally all my feed on X is like hatred. Like every single post is right-wing hatred towards South Asians. And I don't know if the algorithm's purposely pushing it, but that's all I'm seeing. And then there's like a huge community of people just hating towards brown. I'm like, wow, people hate us this much. There's like pages with like 200-300K stop Indians coming to Canada, and it has like all posts about truck drivers and all this like random Tim Hortons content. It's just hatred, and it has over like 14, 15, 30 million views because a lot of people are on X, and it's I have no idea what's going on with that. And have you guys experienced anything like that with social media? Like
no, X is brutal. Like I only have it to keep up with the news because the news gets there faster than anywhere else. But I mean, the racism, they're so bad. Anything is bad. I go on X and randomly you just see people getting like shot and stuff, and like it's so raw,
weird.
and it's like it'll keep me traumatized for like a week because I'll remember exactly how the footage looks like. But the racism there is really bad. But I genuinely believe that there is a big right-wing movement going on in the whole world. There definitely is. Like, I mean, you can see a lot of those investigative journalists that get down to like details, and you see that there are like hardcore right wings behind a lot of things going on. A lot of these protests, they had like some protests in some park in Toronto, like what, 2 months ago, where it was literally like an anti-immigration protest. Almost nobody showed up. There were more people counter protesting, which was nice to see, but they were literally having that protest on the anniversary of some other like really bad hate speech Nazi protest. Right? Same park, same date, just a different year. And I mean, I don't think these things are a coincidence, right? It's just too random for me.
Yeah, I think it's because I don't know if you guys are a big fan of Elon Musk, but he's very against immigration and stuff. So I don't. He owns X as well too. So I think that might be partially.
Wasn't he an immigrant?
He's an immigrant, but he's very against immigrants coming to the States.
Okay.
He talks about it openly on his X. So maybe he's pushing that on the platform.
Yeah, that'll happen when you're dropped on the head several times as a baby. So.
Well, you know what? I will say, when you made a point a little earlier about 9/11. I was in. I remember I just started taking the subway. I was in my teens when 9/11 happened, and I immediately felt a shift in the gaze of people on the subway, because I was the Arab kid on the subway. And in high school, same thing. You immediately, kids I knew, kids I had spent years with already, suddenly look at me a little differently because of the way their parents were telling them, oh, you got to watch out for those Arab kids. And I can only imagine, like now I've kind of developed thick skin to it. So when I go on X, it's funny that you say what you see, because when I go on X, it's all like anti-Arab stuff.
Crazy.
So I definitely think that there's an algorithm thing happening there. But when I see it, I'm just like, oh, this is just stupidity, because I've kind of outgrown it a little bit. But I do worry about the next generation of young kids coming up. And I wonder, as you're seeing this, like you said, when you see the stuff that you see on X, like it'll mess you up for a few days to a week.
Yeah.
When you're seeing all this negativity, as loud and as proud as you might be about your heritage and where you come from, I'm sure at some point you're just like, why is everyone against me? Like, I didn't do anything.
Well, I think something to also remember is that I made a video on this recently about like the trans community, for example. Like a lot of people who are against them just like existing, or a lot of people who are against like South Asian people just existing, whatever, they'll be very loud and they'll make like a lot of content about it. So it feels more inflated than it is, because the people that are not super anti-immigration aren't making videos being like, hey guys, I'm not really very anti-immigration. I think brown people are okay. So like, I think that gives us this like inflated sense of hatred. But that's not to say that the hatred isn't there. It's very much there and it's affecting everyone. But I think for me in my brain, if I'm watching a lot of content and I see that kind of stuff, what I tell myself is that the positive voices are not as loud, but they're there.
Yeah.
That kind of helps me. I don't know about you guys.
I think there are some methods to like not let things get to you, right? Like, first of all, like if you work on your confidence enough, nothing can bother you. Like nothing at all can bother you. Like if somebody calls me like an orange, let's just say, and I find it offensive, it will probably be because some part of me thinks I'm an orange. But if I'm confident enough to know that I'm not an orange, anyone can call me an orange. It will never bother me. Right? And then there's the other thing of also like, if somebody says something negative about South Asians, if I just take that apart and think about it, and I'm like, and think to myself, that person is projecting because something shitty is going on in their life, then I know that person is just projecting. It has nothing to do with me. So then it won't bother me either. Right? So those are two ways that like, even if like you're getting bullied or something, like the anger goes away right away. You don't feel as bad about it anymore. The reason why online stuff pisses me off is just because I'm concerned about the next generation. Right? Well, I'm not worried about how I feel. I don't feel bad about like, I mean, I feel bad about what I see, but it doesn't bother me personally. It only bothers me because I'm concerned about the future generation, how they will grow up.
So what would you say to them? Because you guys all have audiences, many of whom are younger, right? And look up to the stuff that you do, and they're inspired by what you do. And so they're sort of trying to mirror what they see in you. You've all sort of expressed concern one way or another around this next generation of young men growing up, young men in particular, because we already know they're growing up angrier, or we know they're growing up with higher rates of addiction and suicide and depression. So you're already fighting that uphill battle. Tack on top of that racism and self-hatred towards their own culture and all that. What message would you want them to take away from this conversation?
I know people always say, just ignore it, just ignore it, just ignore it. I don't think that ever works. I don't believe in that. I believe in fighting back, right? Somebody says something to you, say something back. I don't care. Right? Like, I know it might not be the right thing to do, but it's the same thing when you talk about having a bully when you're a kid. If somebody's punching you, beating you up, the day you beat them up, it stops. They will never bully you again. Right? Same thing, like if somebody...
Unless they're Hamza size.
That's a different story. Right? But I believe you gotta fight back and like really stand up for yourself, which is not easy. It's not easy, especially when you're alone. But in GTA, for example, you'll never be alone. If you're brown, there's so many of us. You're not alone. There's always resources. There's always people to seek for help. There'll always be friends, family. They're South Asian. They're here, right? It's like, again, like when I was in Sweden, I wish I had that. I wish I had a cousin that was brown. I wish I had any family, any friends at all that were brown that I could just stand beside. But over here, you do have that. In Canada, you do have that. Hang out with them, seek support from them, get help from them. I mean, people will stand up for you over here. Like, I remember as a kid, I mean, it wasn't as bad then, but when I first came to Brampton, it was so mixed, right? And if somebody was being racist to somebody else, you could easily get like a few more people with you from your own culture to just stand up with you against that person, no matter what race you were. Like,
you always felt like you had people in your corner.
But I feel like you have to fight back. You can't ignore it. Ignoring it will just... Teachers will always say it'll just go away. It doesn't. If you ignore it, they'll just keep egging... It eggs them on more because they want a reaction, right? But if you give them enough of a reaction that hurts them, they'll stop.
What about you? Because you have a 10-year-old son. So I'm curious to hear, you know, you've told him to talk to the teachers.
Yep.
And I wonder how effective that's been. But
it's been quite effective. I think a lot of teachers are noticing that as well in schools, where there's a lot more racism going on. So like when my son, he's been dealing with this for quite some time now. So my ex-partner and I, every time it happens, we go and speak to the teacher, and they actually deal with it right away. So I know back in the day when we were younger, the teachers were like, "Nah, you'll be fine." But now they're taking it so seriously with like new policies and stuff. They actually are dealing with it. Nice. And yeah, he's been quite happy with that. But I kind of like what Pushpek does, like, because he fights back with everything, and every time on social media on a 6 month post, like going up a quarter, like he'll always be commenting something on a 6 month post to defend the South Asian community. And another thing I want to say is like, yeah, they're like, for me, for example, my page, What Motivated You, I gained 1 million subscribers in 11 months, and it was only because of hatred towards South Asians is why I gained 1 million subscribers.
How do you mean?
I'll give an example. So a lot of my videos, I go and because my dad's an immigrant. So the reason I created What Motivated You was to show immigrants coming from other countries and working hard, doing like jobs that they. So my dad was in the Pakistani Air Force. He came to Canada. Mm-hmm. He gave up his career as someone in the Air Force to work in a spoon factory. So the reason I created What Motivated You is to show our parents' stories on what they left back home to do in Canada to support our kids. So like my dad left and started working at a factory. So started doing with my dad, and then I started doing with a bunch of immigrants, all Pakistani, Indians, and a lot of people in the video wear turbans. So they're Sikh people that share their stories on why they left their jobs back home to come to Canada to support their families. Like for example, Kulvinder from Freebird, and all these people. And my videos would get so much hate. The comments would all be like, "Go back to your country," or well, and all these like random comments. But the one thing that pushed my videos to that level was how the algorithm works is like the more people that comment on it, the more people see your videos.
Sure.
So there was like the people that would be hating on one side, and on the other side there would be people that would be defending them. As Pushpek said, there's always going to be people there at the end of the day that are going to defend you, and that's kind of what pushed my videos to be seen by everyone, unfortunately in the wrong way on social media. So
that same logic with the algorithm, is that in your minds potentially why the negativity, like the negative videos around South Asians are going as viral as they are? Because negativity drives engagement?
If you go to 6 months comments, it's literally people just arguing the whole time. Like the top comment would be like a hate comment with like 10,000 likes, and then it'd be like everyone just defending, like going against what they're saying. So that's what's pushing it out there for sure.
I think people also see, that level of engagement, and they go, oh, if I put in a negative comment, I'm going to drive a whole bunch of engagement on my comment. And so now they're almost encouraged to just keep doing it.
Absolutely.
I mean, rage bait.
Yeah.
Right.
They'll even pin the comment.
Yeah.
That's
true.
Wild.
I think like to kind of tack on to the question you asked Pushpek and Hamza, like I think another piece of it is, as people with platforms, like we have the opportunity to be like strong role models, right? I think, and we've talked about this, you talk about this a lot on your podcast, but these kids are growing up with a distorted definition of like masculinity, right? Mm-hmm. And we all did, into some capacity, right, in our cultures. I remember like they're probably learning that masculinity is being angry, being violent, being very strong-headed. For me as a kid, I was this really, really flamboyant 8 and 9-year-old. And like for me, what was drilled into my head was, you cannot act like that. You're a girl if you act like that. And men don't act like this. So like I literally had to train myself to stop being flamboyant so I could present myself in a way that my family approved of. And so like that's why I carry myself maybe differently as an adult. But like in retrospect, I was even thinking about it today. I'm like, how stupid is it that the values we're raised with say that you cannot inflect your words like this because that's not masculine. Not talking about values, whether it's family or like individual values, not talking about the way you treat people, right? I mean, so because of that experience, I think for me, and I'm sure for you guys as well, it's like you want to show people who are like younger and are like, what does it mean to like be a man or like a masculine role model? You can show them, well, I mean, it means being empathetic. It means being kind. It
Making
means
the
being,
people feel safe.
Yes, all of those things, right? And so just embodying those things and giving people kind of a frame of reference when they're like, okay, well, what do I want to be if I don't want to be like this kind of red pill movement extremist or whatever?
Do you look like you had something you want to say?
I mean, that's something I've noticed a lot too with these people like Andrew Tate and stuff during COVID. Like the new generation of boys are so sexist. It's insane. It's like crazy. They hate women.
Yeah.
And one thing that I really, really hate,
Scary.
and I don't know where it came from, but I really don't like the whole aspect of referring to people as male and female. I feel like that stays in the biology book. Like just say man, woman, like whatever, like just looking at a woman and be like, oh, that's a female. It sounds derogatory in a way because it sounds like it's straight out of textbook. It's just this, it's like she's biologically female, so we're only gonna call her female. I won't even give her enough respect to call her a woman.
It's dehumanizing, right?
Yeah, it sounds dehumanizing, and for me it's what we do with animals, not humans. Right?
Are you seeing particularly within the South Asian community, are you seeing a growing sense of anger amongst young men?
Oh, I see it everywhere. I don't think that's exclusive to South Asians, but I mean, my audience is a lot of South Asian boys, and I see it. Like, like a lot of them are like, they're sexist, they're racist, they're homophobic. It's all of it at once, and it's just so much they have to unpack. Like, I mean, I get a lot of them are young. They just want a little bit of clout with their comments. They want likes. I get it.
They want to fit in.
But exactly, they want to fit in. But some of them, you start seeing them keep saying this stuff in their 20s, and you're like, dude, you should be way past that, right?
Your frontal lobe has developed. There's no more excuses.
Exactly.
So, with your son, obviously he's 10 years old. Soon he'll be hitting puberty and dating and all that other fun stuff that comes with being a young man in today's world. How are you navigating that as a father? To like looking at your son going, all right, this is the world that you're in right now. How do I prep you for this?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, coming from a South Asian point of view as well, too, because my son, because my dad passed away, so he doesn't have a grandpa. My mom has dementia, so he doesn't have anyone from my side to show him the South Asian culture versus like his Jamaican side. He lives with his grandpa that's Jamaican. He lives with his grandma that's Irish as well, and his mom. So for me on my side, I feel like it's my responsibility. And, I grew up in a school where I was one of the only brown people there as well too. So I have to kind of show him our culture from my point of view as well too. So making realize that it's okay to, feel like, for example, he doesn't even speak any other thing. He speaks English only, right? Like if I speak Urdu with him and I'm trying to teach him Urdu and stuff, he just kind of feels off. So I think it's my responsibility as his dad to kind of show him all aspects of our culture, to go out there. Like I get him to go out there to come when I go to Freebird, for example, to go meet my clienteles that are South Asian, or anytime I get an opportunity for him to like even be in an environment where there's a lot more South Asian people, I feel like that's going to benefit him to kind of prime himself for the future.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How is your mental health these days? A lot going on in the world. And it's right out your doorstep too, in a lot of ways.
I mean, I feel like you got to surround yourself with people that understand and care about your mental health too.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, I'm lucky I have a wife that like, I mean, she's a therapist herself. She really understands the mental health space. And I've learned a lot of her, whether it comes down to like coping skills or like just managing your stress, managing how you feel, communicating. I mean, communication is huge. If you have somebody close to you that you can communicate with, that will help so much. Like it's incredible how helpful just talking can be, but people don't realize it. Like they feel a lot of feelings, but they can't tell anyone because they don't know how to tell anyone. Like, I mean, Hamza is a dad. I can understand like being a dad, you feel like you probably have to like hold in so much that you can't tell people because you have to look strong for your kids, right? You have to look strong for people, right? And just having somebody that you can communicate with, whether it's a therapist, a friend, whatever. I mean, your friends are not your therapists, but
just being able to talk to them.
Exactly.
Is nice. Yeah.
I agree. I think the biggest thing, even with me, is like, sounds weird. Don't cancel me, guys. So I grew up with all my friends all listening to Andrew Tate, like super obsessed with him and like toxic. Like I'm not toxic masculinity, just like fuck women, like it's like you versus the world, like you gotta make money, and like all that mindset. And I kind of like got into that mindset earlier too, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna make so much money, and I'm gonna be so successful, and all the women are gonna come to me, and I'm gonna treat them like shit, and I'm gonna live such an amazing life. And as I got into entrepreneurship and doing social media and being a part of that life, I realized, wow, like there's so much more to life. Like people just chasing that drive. I think the main reason people are so obsessed with entertainment is firstly because he rage baits pretty often, and secondly is because when someone goes in on something, they go in from like such an intense mentality that if they feel like that's a part of who they are, they're going to keep on being that way. So for example, everyone that watches Andrew Tate, they're all super intense about what they do, is because they feel like if they continue to act like that, they're going to be more successful. So for me, as I started realizing how life actually works and how everyone else actually works, and you have to be respectful to everyone, and I started dating someone recently, and before that I was just like, it's like I got to become so successful, and we're talking about, and even in front of my son, like I can't show that like that sensitive part of myself, because especially from coming from a South Asian culture point of view, like our parents, like my dad never showed any of his emotions. All I saw from my dad was like he would go to work, come home, and be very angry in front of my mom all the time. And you know, it's just like I'm like I got to be like that too. I got to just go to work, provide for everyone, and just be angry. But I just started dating a partner recently, and she's like the first, like the person that actually brings like that emotional side of me. I've never been like that with anyone before, and it just like I'm like wow, like I could actually be like sensitive and emotional and connect with someone. So yeah, I feel like as men, as you get older, you realize that you can't be sensitive, and you wanna have that part of yourself where you're open to someone privately, not your friends, but your partner, for example. Like you're very lucky to have a partner that's a therapist, and she probably helps you so much with your mental health.
No, for sure. I mean, a lot of people, like, they're running after success and money so much that like they think, oh, everything will come, happiness will come, but no, you're probably just gonna keep running. Like the more money you have, the more you're gonna spend, and then you want even more. Like I'm very lucky. Like I got married at a pretty young age. I was like 24, 25. But I mean, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her, right? She's the one that told me to do social media in the first place. I wasn't even gonna have a TikTok account, right? So like finding somebody that understands you and supports you will make you so much more successful than anything else, right? Like it gives you drive. You have somebody that cares for you, somebody that you want to make happy. It just makes you work so much harder, right? Rather than chasing stuff that you don't even know if it's gonna make you happy, right? You see all these big athletes and stuff. I mean, half of them have broken relationships and stuff because why? They're probably chasing too much. Like they're not happy with who they found. They want somebody even better, something even better. All these celebrities, like
how many of them end up in divorce? How many of them end up alone? How many of them end up in broken relationships?
Exactly.
No relationship with their children and all that stuff. It's true. There was this one individual I interviewed when we did this series in Miami. He was a billionaire, owns the most amount of land in Miami.
Wow.
And he told me, he's like, all of this means nothing. I promise you. He's like, I got to the top and I promise you it means nothing. He's like, I have less relationships today than I ever had. I don't have as many deep relationships with the ones that I do have. And I have all this money and it's really not, it doesn't mean anything.
It kind of goes back to like community, I think, when you were asking the question, what do you do about like the doom and gloom feelings about the world? I think, and this is going off of all of you guys said, you need to have a sense of community and you need to have a strong community. Friends, partners, whatever it is, people you love, whose values you trust, people who you can talk to. And like, obviously we said, don't like trauma dump on your friends, but like also like let yourself vent to them and let them vent to you. Be there for your community, right? Which obviously I know you guys were saying that anyways. And that can include having an amazing romantic partner too. I think we're so starved for community that we forget that community is what keeps us strong, right? Like kind of like Hamza, what you said, we were like, how like don't cancel me, da-da-da-da. If you're in a strong community, they will say, Hamza, if you had views that you don't agree with anymore, that's amazing. What is there to be upset about? In fact, I'm so happy that you've grown and you're reflecting on it. Yeah. People, you need to surround yourself with people who are growth oriented, that care about you, and you can kind of turn to when you need a shoulder, right? Yeah.
I agree with you. I used to be a mental health nurse for 2 years.
Cool.
Yeah. When I worked, and I found out like a lot of like, not saying patients' names, but when patients would come in that didn't have any sense of community, they're the ones that would come back often, right? Because and then as soon as they found out who they belonged with, I would never see them ever again. Like, you know, so like because we get a report afterwards, they do like an outpatient follow up, and they're like, yeah, like I have like this person I'm with, or this like community is very important. I agree with you 100%.
So how do you build community in a world that's increasingly isolationist? Who wants to take this one? How do you build a community when most of our time is online? We get our dopamine hits and then we feel lonely afterwards. And we're all fairly fortunate in that we have relationships in our lives, but there's going to be people listening and watching this who I've gotten the DMs. They're like, I don't even know how to make friends. I don't have anybody that I could turn to. And so I rely on these social media friends that I see and the people in the comment section. How do you build this community? Because it's there, people are there, but how do you build it?
Put yourself out there. It's so freaking corny, but like
it's true.
It's true. Clubs, weekly sports leagues for amateurs, whatever it is, like touching grass is really important because like so much stuff exists online and you have to like, I don't know about you guys, sometimes I'll detach from it and be like, okay, stuff online is real, but also it's not as real life outside. And I'm just gonna like, I don't know, it's almost like, it's like escaping this bubble where things are happening and going into the real world. So just like engaging with the real world as much as possible, like, you know, not being on your phone all the time. That's something like I try to do a lot. Yeah.
I think a big thing is like, even as like as content creators, like we could start a community ourselves for like when you're vulnerable on social media and talking about certain things you're dealing with, other people can relate to it. So I find that a lot of content creators are focused on growing their personal brand. They have like a kind of a community approach as well, where they target other people's pain points that can kind of relate to what they've been dealing with as well, right? And I feel like as content creators, we can start that ourselves and help others where we have a community on the back end as well.
That's a good avenue.
So let's like, I guess there is some merit to an online space if it's used well.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, even I know people that made like lifelong friends of just like online gaming and stuff.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't have to be in person, right? Like, but you do have to get yourself out there at a point, like even with online gaming where like you're willing to talk, you're willing to like add them on whatever app you guys use to talk, you're willing to meet with people, you're willing to like FaceTime with people, like, because I mean, some people are gonna be stuck online, right? But I like what Taha said. Sports is so huge. Like, join any sport, join any sports team. You automatically have 10 guys that you're hanging out with twice a week. Like every week, you're gonna make at least one friend.
Yeah, and I imagine even if you don't build a strong relationship with one of those guys, it teaches you the skills to go out and apply that elsewhere.
Exactly.
Right.
And
so like you've got other avenues that you can now use that.
yeah, and I always say that. I say the same thing to my wife because she came from America, right? So she didn't have any friends here either. I always told her, I'm like, you're never gonna become friends necessarily with my friends, but it's gonna be my friend's friend's friend that you meet at a party that's gonna become your friend. And that's exactly what happened, right? So like when you get out there, you might not, the person you're hanging out with or meeting might not be the one that's gonna become your close friend, but it might be their friend that you meet at a party, but you have to go out with them to a party in the first place. You have to go out with them and play soccer with them in the first place to even meet these other people.
Yeah. I want to ask, what's the hardest part of being South Asian in 2025? What don't people really understand about being, sorry, let me reframe that. What's the hardest part about being a South Asian man in 2025?
Being, in my experience, just being dismissed. Like, we talked about dating apps, applies to jobs. We meet so many Mohammeds that are actually Mo. I like literally made a video recently about this like brown guy whose name is Mohammed and like pretends to be an Italian man named Mo because it's like such a thing that happens. But everything kind of results in like just dehumanization and dismissal. I think sucks.
I think South Asian men are so like desexualized on social media. Even,
Desexualized.
Is that the right word I'm using for it?
Desensitized or desexualized?
Desexualized.
Yeah.
Desexualized. Yeah, desexualized.
Like they're just not attractive to, as partners or.
Yes.
Yeah, like well, my partners, one of my best friends, he was just in a movie at TIFF, and I remember the director speaking, and he chose like the most attractive South Asian guy to play the main character. But he was talking about, people asked him why they chose him to be the main character in the movie, or main actor, and he said the reason he chose him is because right now, if he were to get any average normal looking South Asian male and he would have casted him to be the main person in the movie, no one would have watched. A lot of people wouldn't have watched the movie because right now on a lot of South Asian men are just desexualized, like just because we either smell bad, we're hairy, some sort of negative.
We're not marketable.
No, we're not marketable.
Yeah.
So we gotta market ourselves. So yeah, it's unfortunate, man. That's what's going on.
That's so interesting. I would have never thought about that.
Yeah. It's such a thing. I remember on this podcast I was listening to, she was talking about how like the least successful people on dating apps, I think they said, were Black women and East Asian men. Yeah. And a lot of it, especially for the East Asian men, was that like they're never shown as being like attractive. Yeah. And it's all media, right? It's all the media we consume. Yeah.
What do you think? What's the hardest part about being a South Asian man right now?
I mean, anything I think of, I can just be like, well, the South Asian women have it worse.
True.
Like
Yeah.
almost
So
anything I think
let's
of.
talk about that.
Yeah.
What is it like? What is it that South? Well, actually, answer the question first, but then I am curious to hear about the South Asian female experience from your perspective.
I mean, the only thing that I can think of, I'm not gonna say that's harder for us or anything, but that's like really hard for us. I think we have such a weird cycle of masculine trauma coming down from our parents, like what they left back home. I mean, this is more for South Asian, the diaspora, right? But breaking those cycles, because I mean, a lot of our fathers were not there for their wives as they should have been, right? They did not raise the families they wanted. They tried. They tried with whatever education, knowledge they had. We live in a different time where we have access to so much more things. We can do so much better. But it's really hard because you're still seeking some kind of validation for your parents. You still want to be what they want to be, what they wanted you to be, but you still gotta be what, for example, for Hamza, what his kids needs him to be, right? And I feel like that's something that's really hard to balance.
Do you feel like you're all responsible for your parents' hopes and dreams that they never got to accomplish?
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
Yes.
How much
Which
does
it
that weigh
shouldn't be
on you?
A lot. I would say it weighs a lot. I mean, a lot of big decisions I made in my life has been to please them. And I realized that maybe I shouldn't have done that, right? But I mean, the whole reason my dad has an account and I make so much content with him is because his dream was to be an actor. So I'm trying to have him live his dream, which I'm lucky enough to
very
be able to
sweet.
do that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But if I didn't have that, I mean, I don't really know. Like, it's a brown parent thing to like be dismissive. Like, they think it's the right thing to do. They think they need to be hard on their kids, and that will
their
grow them.
parents were hard on
Yeah,
them.
but I mean, and if you talk to them about their trauma, they will never share any of their trauma, right? Because it's just so deep inside there that they don't even know it's there, right? So I feel like creating that relationship with your parents is really, really difficult for South Asians.
I'm curious, you know, I know you've spoken a lot about your father and
Yep.
with his passing and the fact that you have a 10-year-old, you know, how you're balancing the way you thought you needed to show up in the world for your father versus how you're going to hope your son understands he can show up as his authentic self.
I think the biggest thing was like I never really saw my dad growing up. He was working so much because my mom never worked, so it was just my dad. All I saw from my dad was like going to work, coming home angry, going to work 7 days a week. That's all I saw.
When you
But
work 7 days a week.
when you
yeah,
work
you're gonna
7
be
days a
angry.
week, taking care of 3 or 4 kids, one of my brothers passed away, but taking care of like 3 kids, and just like my mom was quite sick growing up as well too. And then my dad literally spent his whole life just working like crazy. And then when I was in high school, he got cancer and ended up passing away. Literally spent his whole life doing that, and I never got to see that side of my dad where I never saw him smile even once in my life. It was awful. And then I want my son's Anderson, his name's Anderson. I want him to see that first of all, I grew up really poor as well, so I want Anderson to have a better life than I had growing up, definitely. And the second thing is I want him to see that, you know, you're as his dad, like he can see an emotional side in me as well too. Like I don't want to be fully like how my dad was towards me. I want to show emotions to Anderson, and I want to show him that he could be like that as well too. So
How do you do that?
I think just being very vulnerable and just talking about certain feelings, how my dad never talked about how I was feeling growing up, right? So like even going to Anderson, like even today right before I came here, he's driving from up north. I'm like asking about his day to day, how he's feeling, and he's still getting bullied in school, but just talking about those certain things, right? And just being vulnerable about certain things that my dad never would have talked
Yeah,
about.
normalizing the conversation.
Normalizing
so he doesn't
conversation.
think it's weird that
Absolutely
Yeah.
not. Like if my dad were to ask me how my day, I'm like, well, are you good? What's going on? But yeah, just normalizing conversations for sure.
Okay, I want to, you know, we're running up on time, so I want to ask, and mindful that this is from your perspective, obviously you're not speaking for South Asian women, but what are you seeing in terms of how South Asian men, so many questions I want to ask. Okay. How can South Asian men show up better for South Asian women?
Show empathy. Like, show empathy, show that you care. Honestly, listen. Just listen. Because I feel like half of them shut their ears off. As soon as a girl talks, it's like, oh, she's just venting, right? No, listen to her, but like actually listen. Just don't like you need to understand what she's saying. Like, because when you go deep into it, women go through so much stuff that we are completely unaware of. Small details with the parents that we never noticed. Like, I have a sister. Her, like, I would always grow up thinking, like, oh, we had the same childhood. It was completely different. And once you realize that, like, you might be in the same house, your childhood is completely different, you'll understand how much different women get treated, right? And your parents might not even do it on purpose, but it happens. And it happens everywhere you go, right? They get treated differently. Whatever you do, they will almost always get treated worse, right? And just being open to listening to them means a lot to them, right? Like, as long as you're willing to listen, they just need to talk to somebody, right? They don't want you to fix all their problems. And that's what guys start assuming. They're like, oh, yeah, we have to fix them. We have to fix this. No, they can do that on their own. They just need somebody to talk to. They just need somebody to listen to them.
Yeah. I find in that scenario, my wife taught me this, where now I ask, do you want advice or just for me to be there? Like, what? Because sometimes, to your point, she just needs to vent. She knows the answer. She knows what she needs to do. She just needs to get it out of her system. Yeah. But my instinct sometimes as a man is to be like, okay, well, then you should do A, B, and C. And she's like, you've lost the plot. Yeah. You're not listening anymore. And so I ask, I'm like, hold on. Before we go further, do you just want me to, like, be here? Or are you actually looking for advice? And in the times where she's like, I'm looking for advice, I'm like, great, because I've already got like 3 answers for you. But how can we, like, you've got a son. Yeah. You're nurturing the next generation of young men.
I think a big example, I have a sister as well. So my sister's autistic, and with her is like, she never goes out, and it's because she's just insecure of how she looks. So on social media, a lot of South Asian women, they get bullied for having like facial hair. Right. And a lot of it has to do with like South Asian women are more prone to having PCOS. So they're going to have facial hair more than like anyone else out there. So she's like not confident at all. Like she'll grow facial hair pretty fast, but she'll take care of it as well too. But she doesn't go out, partially because she's autistic, but secondly, it's because every time she would go out, people would make fun of her. They would like look at her weird and she'd be so insecure. So, I've taught her to be more confident, and it's to believe in who you are as a person. And I think it's very important, as Pushpek was saying, how you were saying, is like just listening to what they're saying, because like my sister would just be ignored. Like in our household, like my brother and I would be running everything, and then we'd be doing everything, but we would just ignore our sister the whole time. But as I'm getting older, my sister's older than me, I just paying attention to her and seeing what she wants and how I can help her, and just being in the moment, because we tend to just be thinking about other things and we don't put ourselves in the moment. So what I would teach my son Anderson is, when you're talking to someone, a female especially, just be in the moment, listen to them and listen to what they're saying, and exactly what Pushpek was saying.
You get the final answer on this one.
Yes. I mean, similar to what Pushpek's saying, just listen. Listen. I think a lot of men, I think they get scared, intimidated, or like put off if a woman says she's a feminist, for example. But just listen. I also have a sister. Yeah. She's 9 years older than me. Night and day growing up in terms of what I was allowed to do versus what she was allowed to do. So like I saw it directly. She was never allowed to do like anything. It was all for her protection, or what our parents think is protection, because they're trying to protect her. But holy shit, like the shit they have to go through, and like the shit they hear from our relatives that we never hear is crazy. Yeah. Like, just listen to them. They honestly, like, they have it really shitty. Yeah. Like, they don't, at least in my experience seeing my sister, they do not have autonomy the way we do. They are told that their duty is to be the perfect version of themselves so they can get sent to their real home, which is their in-laws, their future in-laws. Like, it's not normal. Wow. So just listen.
It's all about seeing their perspective over your perception.
Yeah. And the reason I wanted to end the conversation on that question was because I think, we talked about a growing generation of angry young men who don't seem to like women, right? Like, you can want to date a woman, marry her and everything, but they just don't seem to like women. There's a distinction there. And how they're treating women, and not just women that they might want to date, but their own sisters, their moms, their cousins, you name it, their daughters. That's a real problem, right? It's a conversation that I've had in my own community, in the Middle Eastern community as well. And that's why I was curious to hear your perspectives on that, because I think we all play a role in that. We all play a role in shaping how in trying to counter the narrative that we're seeing online, where a lot of these young men are spending most of their time, into understanding that, hey, you know, you don't have to be a big muscular guy with $1 million every month sitting on an island sipping cocktails and somehow that makes you the most masculine version of yourself. Real masculinity is in making the people around you feel safe, making them feel like they can come to you in a time of need. And there isn't always someone trying to knock your door down, trying to invade your home. I mean, in Toronto, there's been a lot of that recently, but it's, you know, that's an episode. But it's just a component of like, yes, there's some element of like, can you physically protect the people you care about, but can you emotionally protect the people you care about? And I think that's where real masculinity comes in.
Yeah, I think the big thing is right now, especially you were saying, we were talking about this earlier as well, with the wrong videos and posts being kind of pushed out because of comments. And I think we see a lot of like, you got to be 6'4", make 6 figures, all this like bullshit on social media, and that's like all over every post. And I don't think majority of females think like that. Do you know what I'm saying? I think just those posts are just being pushed out more because of the negative hate, and now people, like a regular guy would think, oh, this is like the reality of it. Oh, now I have to make this somebody look like this. Like, screw women, I don't want to be with them anymore. And that's why a lot of men now aren't dating women, and they're thinking that's what women want. But in reality, they just want a guy that's there for them, listening to them, and emotionally aware, and being
emotionally aware is a big one. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's so good to see all the three of you, and it's a great conversation. I'm so glad that we were able to make it work. And keep doing what you're doing because it's important. Keep being loud, and keep nurturing this next generation. And let's do this again sometime.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you for
Appreciate
having
you
us.
guys. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.